Hey, what's up everybody? Today I'm going to walk you through this project in Gdevelop. It's called Geometry Monster. Probably this is the first project you're going to try to do in this class. And it's a good one to start out with because it's the simplest one that I could find. Maybe there's simpler ones out there, but at least of their templates that they have, it's very simple, and so I'm going to walk you through how the program works and then how to do these changes here. So let's start out. We're just going to click on the link here, and that will take us to this project page. It will invite you to create a new project. So it just comes up with a random name. You can leave it like that, or you can click this to generate a new random name, or you can name it whatever you want, and it has Geometry Monster in parentheses. So we'll leave that, and where to store this project, we will save it in the Gdevelop cloud. So let's create that. And then this thing comes up because this game has a leaderboard built into it. I'm not going to bother with the leaderboards for now, so let's just skip this and hit close. Okay, now let's look at what all the different parts of the screen here are. Hopefully yours looks similar to mine when you first open it. This is our game settings, or the properties panel. So we got our game settings, we have project settings, the different scenes of the game, and extensions that it is using. Most of this we're not going to deal with yet. We'll get to that in a later project. The scenes, we will get to that, but in just a second. So for now I'm going to close this. If for some reason yours did not open automatically like mine did, you can get to that right here. That's this properties panel. Okay. Oh, no, project manager. This thing is the properties. Okay, project manager is what that was. Okay, next up, here you have the home button. So this is the home page for the Gdevelop program. This is where you can go if you want to start a new project. Has some tutorials here, or you can go to build and some templates, and it lists your projects. Hey, there it is, Geometry Monster. So that's what this home tab is. But the next one, main menu. So this is called a scene, main menu, and each scene has two corresponding tabs. So this one is like the layout, so it shows what it's going to look like on your screen. And this you can scroll up and down. If you hold the command button on your keyboard while you scroll on the mouse, it will zoom in or out. If you hold the space bar and then click on the mouse, it turns into a hand and it will kind of move it around. It's not actually moving the things, it's just changing what you're looking at on the screen. Alright, otherwise if I don't hold the space bar, then I'm moving the actual objects, so I don't want to do that. Alright, so this is the layout. Over here we have our objects that we use for this game. So this scene has two objects, the title, which is this. If you hover over it with your mouse, see how it shows up there, tells you the info about it. And we have the start button, that's this one. Each of these, if you double click on it, then you can see all the info for that. So this game title object has one animation called Geometry Monster, and it is a picture. So we'll get to that later. We'll get to what to do with that stuff later. Okay, so these are our objects. Over here we have object groups, which there are not any for this scene yet. And a few other things up here that we'll get to later, and then down here we have our layers. So this scene only has one layer, well I guess two layers. So the base layer is these, and then you have a background color, which you are welcome to change. Could make it blue if I want, sure. Okay, next, the other tab that also says main menu. This one is called the Events tab. So this is what controls the game. This is the code for the game. So this tab is the layout, and this is the code, or the logic. Now, the way that Gdevelop works is all of the events are divided into two columns. So you've got one column on the left, one column on the right. So see how here on the left it says add condition, and on the right it says add action. And then this whole block right here, see if I click in the blank area, it selects this whole thing. So this block, both halves of it combined, is called an event. So over here, if I click add new event, it adds a new block with column on the left, column on the right. So yep, condition, action. And then within the event you have conditions. So this little line of code here, start button, is selected. This is a condition. And then over here on the right, this line of code, change to scene, level 1, that is an action. So just be careful when you're trying to select things that if you want to select the whole block, just click in kind of the blank area below any of the lines of code. Because if you click where there is a line of code, even if it's blank to the side over here, it will only select that line of code. So I'm talking about like if you want to copy things, or select things, just make sure you're selecting the right thing. If you want to select the whole event, click on that and make sure that the whole event is highlighted, not just one line of code, one action, or one condition. So in condition, just imagine that the word if is at the beginning of all these. So it doesn't say the word if, but it's implied. So if the start button is clicked, that's the condition. Okay, so if we look over here, if, here's the start button, if the start button is clicked, then, so all the actions, imagine that the word then is in front of it. If start button is clicked, then change to scene level 1. So this scene is called main menu, and let's see over here, our scenes, oh, there it is, there's a scene called level 1. So main menu only has 2 lines of code in it. If start button is clicked, so if you click this, then change this scene to the other one, level 1. Let's hit preview and see what happens. So when you want to test out your game, you just click this preview button and it will open it up so that you can play it and make sure it works. So here we go, I'm clicking on the screen, nothing is happening. So the only thing it's checking is if I click on this. So I will do it now. I clicked on it, then change to that other scene. Okay, here we are. And now, look at that. So I can move him around by hitting left and right arrows. And I get points if I get these shapes, and I lose a life if I get hit by the bomb. Alright, so that's how the game works. I'll close the preview. Okay, now we went over the code for this one. Let's look at the next scene and see what that's doing. Level 1. So if I click on the scene, then it opens up both the layout for level 1 and the events code. This one has a lot more going on. So let's walk through this, what all of this stuff means. So all of this code, it's basically being run all the time, constantly. So the whole time that the game is playing, it will start at the top of this code and it will work its way down and do everything constantly. So however fast the game is going, it's usually about 60 times a second. It will do all this, each one of these things. So yeah, very, very fast. It just, as soon as it gets to the end, comes back, does it all again. Unless it has something up here that says at the beginning of the scene. So in that case, it only does this once. So the very first time the scene starts, it will do this thing once. Change variable score set to 0. So that means at the beginning of the game, we want our score to be 0. Okay. Then the rest of this, here's this thing. See how it has an arrow you can collapse? So this, I think it's blue. This blue box here says controls. And if it has this label, it means it is a group. So all of these things are part of the group controls. And I can tell because if I collapse this, they all go away. So it is very nice to organize your code like this. So that way, if you need to change the order of things, you can just collapse it, move it someplace else, and then it's all still there. Or if you need to copy it to somewhere else, then you can just click on this whole controls thing, right click, copy, right click, paste. There we are. Now we've got 2 sets of controls. So very nice to have things organized like that. Oh, it will not let me undo that. I'll just have to delete. Okay. So let's see what this is doing. So remember, everything on the left is if. It's a condition. It's just checking, is this true? Is this true? Is this true? So if the left key is pressed, then go over here and do what's on the right side of it. Simulate pressing left for monster. Okay, so what that basically means is that the monster will move to the left. So if you press the left arrow, the monster will move to the left. So if I'm not pressing the left key, it will not move the monster to the left. It's that simple. Next, if the right key is pressed, simulate pressing right for the monster. And then this one, if touch or left mouse button is down. So that's if you're not using the arrows on the keyboard, if you're playing this on a phone or something, or you can also do it with your mouse. So it'll check, is the left mouse button down? Now, these next ones, see how they're indented? See how they're a little bit to the right? See, it comes down and goes to the right. So that means that these 2 things are children, or what do they call it? Sub events. So this little line that comes down and to the right, these are sub events. So it will only check these if this one is true. So if this is the parent or the main event, if this one is false, if the left mouse button is not down, it's not going to even check these. But if it is down, then it keeps going down the list. Okay, this is down, so now let's check this. Or let's also check this. Right? So that's what a sub event is. If I move this over to the left, see how now this one is not a sub event of this? It's still below it, but it's not indented. It doesn't move to the right. So now it would check this independently of that. But that's not what we want. We only want it to do this if the mouse button's down. Okay, this next one, the X position of the center of monster is less than the X position of the mouse, -5. Ooh, we're getting complicated here. So let me show you what this means. We'll go to this tab. So if the mouse button is down, let's say I have the mouse over here and I've clicked the button. There, I click it. So my mouse right now is to the left of the monster. And you can look over in this corner right here. It tells you the X and the Y coordinate of where the mouse is. Oh, 705 is the X coordinate. If I move to the left, 632. If I move way over here, 60. So the X coordinate is left and right on the screen. The second number right here is the Y coordinate of your mouse. So up here, the higher I go, the lower the number is. 38. If I move it down, 292. Move it down, 546. That. And see how the monster itself has x and y coordinates. So the monster is at x 243 and y 707. So what these numbers mean is they're counting the number of pixels from the top to the bottom, or from the left to the right. Number of pixels on the screen. So that means this monster, if I counted the space, this line right here, this line represents the left edge of the screen. When I hit preview, it's like you're playing this on a phone, right? So it's a vertical screen. So this line is the left edge of what you would see on your phone. So this one is 0. See, right over here it tells me right when it's on the line. If I go to left of the line, you're in the negatives. But if I get right on the line, can't get it, but now we're at 1. So it's counting the number of pixels from the edge all the way here. So there are 243 pixels in between the edge of this and the monster. Okay, so that is what this is doing here. So if the center of the monster is less than wherever the mouse is, -5. Okay, that's kind of complicated, but it's saying if I click right here, is the center of the monster less than where the mouse is? Well, the mouse is at 140 right here, and the center of the monster is, I don't know what the center is, it's 243 is the left corner of the monster, so the center is higher than that. Okay, so if I click here, then that statement is false. So it will not do this. But then this other one, is the center of the monster greater than the mouse? Well, yes. And so in that case, simulate pressing left for the monster. So it's doing the same things as this. What it means is if you click on the mouse to the left, then the monster will move to the left. If you click on the mouse and it's to the right, the monster will move to the right. So it's using math to figure out where the mouse is compared to the monster and what direction it should move. Alright, so that is the controls. Okay, so let's look at our requirements here for this. First requirement, make the monster able to move up and down. Okay, right now it only moves left and right. So how would I make it move up and down? Well, I'd do something similar to this. So let's see. If I come up here and I click this thing, add a new empty event. Hey, there we go. There's a new empty event. And once it's added, I'm just going to drag this so it's actually below these two. So I've got left, right, then let's do up and down. So here, add condition. Click there. So what is it that I want to check and see if it's happening? So I want to see, is a key being pressed? Well, a key is not an object that's on the screen, it's something else. So other conditions. Where do we have that? Here we go, keyboard. Any key is pressed. Well, no, I don't want any key, I want a specific key, right? I want the up key. So here, key is pressed. And then here's where you get to choose which key am I looking for. I'm just going to start typing in the word up, and this is the one we want. This is what means up arrow. So capital UP. And yep, it looks the same as those. So if the up key is pressed, what do I want it to do? Well, I want it to do an action that looks like this. So I will click here, add action. So is this action affecting one of these objects? Yes, I want the monster to move. So let's click on the monster. And what do I want to happen to the monster? I want it to move. I want it to move up. Where is that? Simulate movement, something like that, right? Where are you? Ah, there we go. Simulate up key pressed. Okay. Click that. Okay. So that matches all of these, right? Left key press, simulate left, up key press, simulate pressing up for monster. Okay. Then I could do the same thing for down, but let me show you a shortcut here. I'm just going to right click. See, I'm going to click on this event. So I'm clicking in the blank area. I don't want to click just on this line of code. I want the blank area below that so the whole block gets selected. Then I right click, I choose copy, and then I right click again in the same place, choose paste. And now it has pasted that copy of that block. So now I have two things that are identical. But that makes it easy just to change this one. So instead of up key, let's hit delete, and I start typing down, and then I select down. Hey, that was easier than just having to go and find it all. So if the down key is pressed, I want to simulate pressing. Okay, so if I want to change this, I have to double click on it. Simulate pressing down. That one. And then I hit OK. The rest of the stuff stays the same. So it saves a lot of time if you can copy and paste. If you can find something that's already similar to what you're looking for and then just change a few things. Let's see if that worked. Preview. Alright, he can move left and right, and now he can move up and down. It's working. Great. Something happened to the audio. It's not doing audio anymore, but that's alright. Okay. Next up, edit the monster sprite and redraw your own version of the monster. Okay, now we're getting into some fun stuff. So we'll go back here. Oh, you have unsaved changes in your project. I will save. We don't want something to go wrong and our thing to crash and not have saved it. So let's just hit save. And then that red dot will go away once it's saved. Yeah. What? Unsaved again? Oh, it went away. Okay. What were we doing? We're going to change how this monster looks. So let's go back here to our layout. There's our monster. If I want to edit this, I can click the little menu buttons next to it. Edit object. The other thing you can do is just double click on this. It does the same thing. So here's the info for this object, and here we've got the name of it, and we have animation number 0, animation number 1. See how they're both named: monster idle, monster dead. So this idle one, it is a loop, so the loop is checked. Let's hit preview and see what this looks like. So it's just going to keep doing this forever until, I guess, it loses all its life, and then it'll switch to this one. This one is not a loop, but it's only one picture, so it doesn't change. Alright, well, let's edit this and make our own design for it. So easiest way would be click on this, edit with Piskel, and it will open this app, an image editor called Piskel. And now here it's showing the preview of all of the frames, but then we can scroll here and see it is 12 pictures long, and right now I have the first one selected. So if I wanted to edit this, I can choose pen tool, paint bucket. Let's try paint bucket first. I'm going to change him to a different color. What color do I want this monster to be? Let's have him be green. Is this green? I think it is. Alright. Oops. So I've selected this green color, have this paint bucket selected, and I will click here in this yellow area, and anything that was that exact color of yellow has now changed to green. So maybe I want this one a slightly different color of green. Like he's got it, so it's like a shadow right there. See, got light yellow and a slightly darker yellow. So maybe I go here and just move it slightly darker green. select that. Now what do we do with all these things that are still a different color of yellow? I'm not gonna mess with that right now. You guys can do it. Well, okay, let's go to the pen tool. Or what? What can I zoom in here? And oh, this would take forever. Are these all different shades of yellow? What a mess. Good grief. This other tool will any pixel in the whole image that is the same color as the one you click on will get changed. Oh yeah, see how it's changing some of the other ones at the same time? Gosh dang. That is a pain in the butt to have so many different colors. If you want to change them, that is. We're getting there though. Gosh. Okay, I'm not gonna do this and make you guys watch, but this would also be a real drag to have to do every single one of these, right? So watch, I'm gonna cancel this. I'm gonna edit it again. So notice if I hover over it, it says Command apply to all layers, Shift apply to all frames. So I don't want to have to change it 12 different times, right? I only want to do it once. So let's go here. Let's find that green again. Something like that, sure. And I click this one, and I'm going to hold Shift when I click here. Boom. Now it changed. Everything that was that color of yellow on all the frames has now been changed to that color of green. And then let's make it a little darker. And I hold Shift when I click on this, and now they've all been changed. Nice. Also, I could do the pen tool, and up here is the width of it, like how big the paintbrush is. So I could take the pen tool. This one does not apply it to all frames. It's only the one that you're currently drawing on. So could, go through and do all 12 of those. Or if you want to, you know what, you can just delete that whole frame and draw a new one. Like that, just draw your own and have 12 of them. And you could, well, let's zoom out. There's my new monster. Alright, so you can draw one and then you can duplicate it and change this one a little bit, make him blink or something. So I'm not going to mess with that stuff, but you guys are welcome to. But we did get him changed a little bit, and I could, oops, okay, alright, I'm going to call that good for myself, but for you guys, yeah, if you want to draw your own, go for it, or just add some other drawings to it, whatever you want to do. Then I hit save, importing project resources. There we are. They have all been changed. Then other tricky thing, this one is still as it was before, so I would need to go back here. Trouble is, I don't remember exactly what color of green I used before that, so if I want to get the exact same color, let's go back here. Let's edit this one, and I could go here, color picker, select it, there it is. So it is 159 F1B is the code for that color. I'll just copy that, hit save. I could have hit cancel instead, and then let's just go to this one, edit, and let's go here, and I'm going to paste that color in there. There's that same color, green. So that was on this one, the other one, I don't care. I'm just going to choose a little bit darker. There. Good enough. Save. There we are. We have changed our monster. If I hit preview, he will now have the new colors. Okay, perfect. What is next? Well, number 3, add at least one more shape and make that shape worth 5 points. Whew, okay, now we're getting complicated. Okay, well, I've got shape 1, 2, 3, 4, triangle, square, circle. What's that? Trapezoid? Parallelogram? I don't know what that is. Pentagram? No, that's a star. Hexagon? Pentagon. Pentagon, like the building. Duh, okay. So we need one more shape. What should it be? What should it be? Well, let's go here. Add a new object. I will do this. It can be a sprite. That means it's something that you draw. And yes, that's the one we want. Let's choose a sprite. Okay, I could draw it myself, or I could import an image. Maybe they have other shapes that I can get. Let's try importing an image. Oh, no, that's if I've drawn it with another program, if I have a picture. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Choose something from the asset store. There we go. Oh, that's right, I was on choose a file. Choose from the asset store. Oh, look at this. I have all kinds of things I could use. It doesn't have to be just some boring old shape. How about some kind of coin? Let's search. Let's search for coins. How about a gold coin? Let's do that one. Love it. Okay, and then this thing, object name. New sprite. Well, what if I call it coin? Heads up, don't name it coin, okay? I'm going to do this just to show you how it doesn't work, but you don't want to do this. You want to name it shape 5 is what you want to name it. Because see how they're all named shape 1, 2, 3, 4. There's a reason for that. They didn't name it triangle, square. But for now, I'm going to name it coin. We'll see what happens. So let's see what makes the shapes happen. So here we go to this section, spawn objects on the top. At the beginning of the scene, so it's only going to do this once, it's going to start some timer called shape creation. Okay, so it starts that once. Then 60 times a second it's going to be checking for this one. Is this shape creation timer greater than 1.3 seconds? And if it is, then do all this stuff. Hey, look at this. This is our first event that has multiple actions in it. So it only has one condition, but it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 actions. And it starts at the top and it works its way down. So it's going to do this first. Among the object's shapes, create object named shape plus toString rand. Wow, complicated stuff. Okay, so what does all this mean? Among objects shapes. Well, let's look at our scene here. So here's our objects. We've got all these shapes. So what does it mean? It just looks for something with the word shape in it? No, it's looking at over here, object groups. See how there's a group called shapes? Oh, what's included in this group? Let's double click it and see. So this group includes shape 1, shape 2, shape 3, shape 4. Let's have it include our other one. What did we name it? Coin? Okay. Apply. Now our coin will be part of the shapes. Awesome. Okay, so it looks in that group. Among all the things in that group, create an object named shape plus, so see how shape is inside quotation marks, so it'll just use the exact word shape, and then plus, and it's going to add something to that name. So toString, get to that later. This thing, random in range, that means it will choose a random number and the lowest number it'll choose is 1, the highest number it'll choose is 4. And they will all be integers, so no decimals, no fractions, just 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 is the highest. Okay, so it's going to choose one of those numbers. This thing, toString, means it converts it into a character or a string. So it's not going to be a number anymore. You can't do math on it anymore, but you can add it to other words. So it'll still look the same. It'll look like a number, but that's just so that you can combine these two types of things. So it takes a random number 1 through 4 and then adds it to the word shape. Why would it do that? Oh, because that's what we named them all, shape 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where we get a random number, it'll choose, and then if the number happens to be 2, oh, it creates shape 2, a square. If the number is 4, then it creates a pentagon. Seems like that one should be number 5, but whatever, they only had 4 shapes to begin with. So that's why we need to name this thing shape 5. So I'm going to right click, choose rename, shape 5. Otherwise, this coin will never get chosen because it's only going to create ones that have the word shape in it and then have one of those random numbers after that. So shape 5, let's change this code now because we want it to include our new shape. So we need to change this 4 to a 5. So now it'll choose a random number in between the numbers 1 and 5, including the numbers 1 and 5 and anything in between. Alright, and then this last part is where it will create that object. So at position, here we got another random thing. So it'll choose a random number, and the lowest number it will choose is 80, and the highest number it will choose is 640 minus 80. Why not just put 640? Or why not just put whatever that is? I don't know. I don't know why they do it that way. My guess is 640 is the right edge of the screen, maybe, and then minus 80 is like how wide the things are. Let's see. Yep, 640. See, if I move my mouse over here, it says it's at 640. So since they don't want to create this shape right at the edge, because then it would actually be off the edge, so they're doing it minus 80, which would be, I don't know, 560, something like that. So it'll create it somewhere around here. So that's what this is telling it to do. So the first number is the x coordinate. So you create an object from its name, shape, and the x position that it creates it will be somewhere in between 80 and 560, and then its y position will always be negative 100. Why negative 100? Where is that? Well, let's look up here. So if I move my mouse up to the top of the line, that top line is 0, and at negative 100 is up above here, like right about here. So it's going to create a shape somewhere in this area, in between 80 and 540, but always at negative 100. So that means it doesn't just instantly show up on the screen. It's created up here, and then it'll start falling. Okay, that's what this line tells it to do. Next, after that shape is created, let's move down. Sorry, bumping my mic around. Change the angle of shapes and set them to a random number in between 0 and 360. So I guess 360 is the highest angle it could be. So that means when it gets created, it could be turned any direction, and it's a random number. Then this one, change the scale of it, set to random float in range. Float means it can be a decimal. That's what it means. So the smallest number would be 0.8 and the highest would be 1.6. So it'll choose any number in between that, which there's an infinite number of possibilities there. It could be 0.811111, or it could be 0.81100011, you know, anything in between these two numbers. So that means the scale, it might be a little bit smaller. If the scale is 1, then it's exactly this size, whatever size it was drawn at. That is the scale of 1. Anything less than 1, it'll be smaller. Anything bigger than 1, it'll be bigger. So let's see if it's doing that. Hit preview, and let's look at these shapes as they come down. Do they have random rotations? They do, and they're rotating as they're falling. And see how some triangles are smaller and the square is a little bit bigger. This one is a little smaller. Hey, there's our little coin. Okay, the coin is much smaller than the shapes. So maybe we want to make the coin bigger somehow, or just use a bigger object. Yeah, I think let's make the coin bigger so we can see it. All right. But we've added the new object. It is falling sometimes. Sometimes the coin does get chosen. But if I want to edit what it looks like, let's go edit with Piskel. And well, yeah, no wonder it's so small. It is getting, the size is getting covered up. It is 16 by 16 pixels. So it is a very small thing. Let's try resizing it. Let's make it, what is 4 times 16? 64. Let's make it 4 times as big. And oh, did I do something wrong? Oh, I want to have this checked so it will make the existing drawing bigger at the same time as making the background bigger. There, resize. Alright, now it looks the same because it enlarged it, but it is 64 pixels wide now instead of 16. So now if I hit save, now we've got a much bigger coin. Apply and save my project, and now let's preview it. Okay, now we've got some shapes being created. Let's see if our coin, oh, there's our coin. Now we can see it. And we're getting sound effects now. How about that? Okay. All right, how about this part? Make that shape worth 5 points. Ooh, make it worth 5 points. Well, let's see what's controlling the points. Move objects down, collision. Okay, so I bet this is where we get points. So if shapes is in collision with monster. So here it's using the group again. So the group called shapes, which includes shape 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So this means if any of these shapes is in collision with the monster. That's what it's asking. Any of these shapes. If any of them is in collision with the monster, then, oh look, we've got all these children of the condition. So if this is true, then start checking all these. So if it is a shape 1, a triangle, then do this. Or if it is a shape 2, well, what does this actually mean? If the number of shape 1 currently picked equals 0, oh, it does not equal 0. Oh, okay. Yeah, so any of these conditions, if you double click on them, it opens in the more detailed version. Okay, so shape 1, number of object instances currently picked, not equal to 0. What the heck does all that mean? Well, it means, so if it's in collision with one of these shapes, then which one is it colliding with? It could be any of them, because they're all in this group, but really it's only one of them. So it's saying whichever one is in collision with, that's the one that's picked. Okay, so is the thing that's currently picked, it's just a convoluted way of saying, did it pick shape 1? Did it collide with shape 1? Meaning if it's not 0. Okay, so shape 1, then it creates a little explosion, a shape 1 explosion. That's what's making the tiny triangles when it explodes. Anyway, let's skip all that. We don't care about that right now. We want the points. Okay, so right here, delete the shape that was eaten and update the score. Okay, so notice here it does not have another condition. So as long as this parent one is true, if it collides with a shape, collides with the monster, then it'll go through all this stuff, and then right here it'll do this part no matter what. So whatever shape it was, delete it. And play this sound, monster. That's what we're hearing, the woohoo. And then change this variable score, add 1. Okay, and then the text, change the text of score label, set to score plus score. That's weird. Okay, what does that mean? Well, this thing's obvious, we delete the shape. This thing is obvious, it plays the sound. What about this? We have not dealt with variables yet. So let's go to where this variable is. I'm going to go back here, level 1 settings. So here, edit scene variables, and it has this scene variable called game speed. Doesn't have one called score though. Why not? Should we add one called score? I mean, we could. Guess we don't need to. They didn't. So where does it have the score? Well, look here at the beginning of the scene. Oops. Change the variable score set to 0. So a variable, it just means it's a number or a word or something like that that can change during the game. So score, you start at 0 and then it's going to change during the game. So every time that it runs into a shape, then add 1 to the score. So it starts at 0, I run into my first shape, delete the shape, and then I add 1 to the score. So 0 plus 1 equals 1. Then this next thing, change the text of score label. Let's double click on this. So we've got this object called score label, and we want to change the text of it. Okay. Well, let's see what this is even doing. If I go here to layout, look at this. This is the score label. Okay. It is an object, and by default, initial text to display, it just says the word score and then colon. So I'm guessing when I first start playing it, I'll just see the word score up there. Does it even say 0 at the beginning? It does not. It doesn't even have a number. But then as soon as I start scoring points, woo, I ate it and it scores 1.
Woohoo! Woohoo! Woohoo!
Okay, so every time he runs into a shape, the number on that goes up. So the thing to remember here is it's always a two-step process. You've got the variable, so this is the number that saves the score, and then this thing is just words on the screen. Okay, so if all I did, watch, here I'm going to create a new condition, and I'm going to move this down into here, and I'm going to disable this. So I could just delete it, but this is a easier way of turning something off, so I turned that off. If all I do is change the score variable, I will never see the difference. Here they come. He's going to eat this. Oh, it did not change what it says on there, even though I did it. So the variable is changing, but it's not showing the results on the screen. So that's why it's a two-step process. You want to change the variable itself, and then you want to change the text object. So we always want it to have the word score there, and so that's why that is inside quotation marks, because it will print that exact word on the screen. But then outside the quotation marks, we have a plus sign. So that means we're going to add something to this, and it's going to be our score. So once our score is 1, we want it to say score space 1. And then when we score again, it keeps moving up. Okay, so how would we add 5 points for our coin? Because right now, no matter which shape we get, it adds 1 point. Well, I think we're going to need to split this up into a few different options. We want it to delete the shape no matter what. We want it to play the sound no matter what. But we want it to add a different score depending what kind of shape it is. So let's move these two down to this one. Actually, I will undo that. I'll undo that. I'm going to delete this. Okay, so I'm going to add a new empty event right below it. Or maybe the easier way is to right click in the event and go add new event below. Yeah. Okay, so now I've got 2 events below this one. Then I'm going to drag this one here, and I want one more event for a total of 3. Okay. Then this one I want to be in the last event. Okay, so right here, we only want it to add 1 if it's shape 1 through 4. But I don't want to have to check 4 times. Here, I know what we'll do. Let's add a condition here. Here, we'll have it add 1 point no matter what. It'll always add 1 point. But we'll go here if, let's just copy this thing. I'm going to select this, right click, copy. Then if I hover over this or paste conditions, boom. Okay, so if the number of shape 5, we're looking for shape 5, currently picked is not 0, then let's copy this thing, right click on it, copy, paste. We'll add 4 more points. How about that? Okay, so no matter what, it'll add 1 point, no matter what the shape is. And then after that, it'll check, was it shape 5? If it was shape 5, then add 4 more points for a total of 5 points. Otherwise, it'll just be the regular 1 point. And then we can get rid of this thing. And then after that, we still want this to happen no matter what. Okay, so that's why we only have this happen if it was shape 5. This one, there's no condition, so it'll change the score no matter what. Let's see if it worked. Oh, look, I got, so 1 point for that, 5 points for the coin, 5 more points, 1 point, 5 points, it's working. Love it. So one thing, the coins are not doing the multiple. See how when I get a square, it does the little explosion thing? For the transparent versions, it's not doing that for the coins. I don't care. If you want to figure out how to do that, then I will be very impressed. Okay, we got it. We got it working. Was there anything else we needed to do? Make the objects fall even faster as the game goes on. Oh, okay. Because it's kind of too easy. It's a little bit too easy, right? They don't fall very fast. So up here, move objects down. How fast are they falling? Well, add to shapes an instant force of 0 on the x-axis and game speed on the y-axis. What the heck? That means it's not adding any force left and right. All they do is go down. Game speed, this is another variable that, what does game speed mean? Well, let's go to our level 1 settings, variables, game speed. So it starts out at 100. And this is actually a number, not a text. So that's how fast they're falling, 100 pixels every second. Yeah, pixels per second. Okay. And it's rotating them 90 degrees per second, so that's why they're kind of spinning as they fall. And look, the obstacles, the bombs, they fall at a little higher speed than that. So whatever game speed is, so 100 pixels per second times 1.5. 1.5 times 100 is 150. So they're falling a little faster than the normal shapes. And then here, progressively increase game speed. So that means, notice there's no conditions here. So all of these things are happening constantly. Doesn't matter what you do. There's no condition. They happen all the time. 60 times a second. Basically, as soon as the code gets to the bottom, goes back to the top, does it all again. So it's constantly changing game speed, and it's adding. So game speed starts at 100, and then 60 times a second it will add this number to it. Add 7 times, this little star means times, time delta. What the heck is time delta? Well, it is the time elapsed since the last frame rendered on screen. This is a kind of weird way of saying however fast this is running on the screen, however many times a second it's running, which is usually 60. That's kind of the standard. Usually it's 60. So 1 divided by 60, like the last frame was shown on the screen 1/60th of a second ago. So it's basically 7 times, here it is. For a game running 60 frames per second, it is 1/60th of a second, or around 0.167. So what is 7 times that? 7 times 0.0167 equals, so it's adding this amount constantly to that variable, 0.11. So if game speed started at 100, then 60 times a second it's getting this number added to it, 0.11. Anyway, long story short, if we want things to fall faster, should we see what happens if we just get rid of this time delta thing? What if we just add 7 to it every time around? I think it's going to start going way too fast. Let's see. Yeah. So that's why they have it with the time delta. Otherwise, they are just going way too fast here. Okay, so let's put that thing back. 7 times time. Anytime you're typing stuff in, it'll bring up suggestions of things that it thinks you might be typing. There's time delta again. Alright, but if we just want it slightly faster, what if we increase, instead of number 7, let's try 20. 20 times 1 divided by 60. Alright. Yeah, that's better.
Woohoo!
So it starts out at pretty close to the same speed, but I think they will speed up a lot faster as the game goes on. Yeah. And if we wanted to make it harder, we could have it create obstacles more often as well. So that's how that's done. You can choose what number you want, but I would leave this time delta and just change this number here to be higher than 7. But you can choose what number you want. And then if you want obstacles created more often, well, look, right now they're being created every 5 seconds. So you could change this to a lower number, whatever you want to do. But that is all the requirements for this one. So hopefully you can figure all this stuff out and have fun with making your own monster sprites, making your own new shapes, and playing around with the speed. And anything else that you want to try changing is fine as well. We'll see you next time.